See, a lot of us get into business planning and we speak about the big goals we want to make, the big hairy goals. And sometimes it's income driven, like I want to make 100 grand. I want to make 200 grand. I want to sell X houses. I want to sell Y homes this year. And that's good because it gives us the lighthouse to chase. However, it's a missing step when we need to create the business plan itself. So instead of doing this, what do? All right, in this video, I'm going to be walking you through a critical step that every realtor misses when trying to prepare an appropriate business plan for their business. When I was running my sales team, it became incredibly apparent to me when I was trying to build up agents and getting them to succeed, not only just off of the backs of my business plan as a team leader, but to be successful as solo agents. There was one thing missing in all of their businesses. And this is why I built this pre-annual planner. So when you sell a house or when you earn money, this is a lag to the effort you have to put in at the beginning. So the pre-annual business planning step is flipping it so that I can get you excited about the leading indicator activities you have to do and conduct so that you can make those lagging indicator results. So what is the most important leading indicator that we have in our business? It's number of new real estate conversations that you have, period. See, these new conversations hopefully lead to a contact for which you can have a two-way conversation. And when you do this, you can nurture the relationship further to make them into clients or turn them into your general database. And when you turn them into clients, they turn into closings. And then you have those lagging indicator results. So if you look on the screen here, I built this planner to walk us through this scenario. To unpack how many leading indicator activities, meaning how many new conversations we have to have, we need to go through a series of steps. So this is going to be a little bit of math for you, but let me walk you through the critical things you need to take forward into your business and jot notes down and maybe watch this on repeat so that you can go through the math and do this for your own business. So first and foremost, what we need to determine is your a few points. All the blue things in here are the things that you're going to have to bring to the table in your own analysis. My average sale price in our area right now is $600,000. If you don't know your own average sale price for your business, just pick the city's average, right? If you actually know it, like you're a luxury agent and you know yours is better than say the 600,000, which is the greater Calgary's average, put in $1 million. But for this purposes, I'm going to put in 600,000 just to show you. You're also going to want to put in your average commission take. Now, I'd love to assume everybody has the same commissions, but some people discount and some people charge premiums. Put in your average sale commission and write that down as well. So for a $600,000 house, on average, with a 2% thing, you will make a certain amount of income. You can see that this is auto-calculating here for you, but I'm pretty sure you can do the math on your own. What you also want to understand is what is your general take-home? If your brokerage split is an 85-15, like it is for us at Real Broker, put that in. So you'd have 85% of a take. If you have a cap on your commission, like we do at Real Broker, again, 12,000, put that in. If you had a monthly fee, right, you're going to want to make sure of that. Well, we don't have any fees, so I'm going to delete that. And those are some of the inputs. And you can see, I just have this for my own purposes because I do this so many times. It's going to spit out what my average check is and my average take home, because this is important in determining the income that you're going to need to run your household. And that's what I want to talk to you about. So if we put in all these elements, I also ask, and we're going to go through this, but a few things I ask myself and my agents that I get to coach is how many weeks off are you going to take? I want you to think about this. What does you and your family take off? Is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? And why do we need to know this in the pre-annual phase? Well, if you take 4 weeks of the 52 weeks off in your year, that's 4 less weeks you have to prospect and put those conversations together. So I want you to plan your year around the true amount of time you truly have. If we planned it over a 52-week year, but you know you took 4 weeks off, you would actually underperform at the end of the year. The other thing I want you to make note of is what is your tax rate. If we're going to be proper business planners, we need to account for the tax man. So make sure you know it. In this case, I put a goal earning here of $100,000 in this case for this simple scenario. In Canada, where I live, that average tax rate would be somewhere around 35%. So I want to know that so that I want to determine one thing for you. And again, I have this built into my calculator, but you can run the math. $100,000, right? With an average commission, right? With $10,000 left is what you would have pre-tax after your split. The net income I would have is $88,000 before tax. You put in this into your calculation, you end up with take home after taxes. So in this case, it's $57,200. What you want to do is then divide that by 12. And you want to get up to this number here. This is your monthly net take home. So this is a huge step that a lot of people don't think about when they're doing their business plan. And is the goal enough with taxes and brokerage fees aside to support my household before I go into debt? So what this is saying is $4,800. And I would ask you to ask yourself, when you do the math on this, is this enough for you to not go into the red? Now, if it turns out that this number is not enough, you would go and readjust things. So in this case, maybe my household and to run my house costs me $6,000 a month. And you realize this goal and staying compliant with taxes is not enough. And I would have to go and readjust this number. So let's say, all right, I put 150,000. Oh, boom. Now I have a net income that's enough to support things so that there's some contingency into my life and I can pay for everything. So that would be phase one of getting set up to prepare for what's involved with the proper business plan. The next phase I want you to think about is this. When we're business planning, life doesn't go perfectly, does it? So we need to hedge our bets. We need to create some factors of safety, because what we know is in this scenario, this was saying that I need to have 13 homes sold. Do you think that that means I just need to meet 13 people and they're all going to pick me and they're all going to show up for my appointments and they're all going to close? Well, that would be the wrong way of thinking. But how do we do this? Well, we need to create some factors of safety and mark things up so that we are taking on the right amount of work, the leading indicator activities, to support that final lagging indicator result, which is the income we need to run our house. So a few questions I would ask you to ask yourself is this: what is your appointment show rate? So depending on your lead source, if you're online lead generating versus if you're open housing or if you're a sphere-based agent, there's a no-show rate. You know, if you don't know this number, you can think about it with some common sense. In this case, this agent, I'm just going to say there's a 90% of the people that I book appointments with actually show up. Okay. It's probably pretty fair, safe. So you would do the math around this based on like when you make appointments, there's a factor of safety that there's about 10% more appointments you have to make so that the ones you make actually show up and the numbers work out. The second thing I want you to think about is this: what is your appointment to client success rate? So again, if you're a newer agent and you're getting appointments with people, how many of them are picking you versus how many of them are picking somebody else? Maybe a safe bet would be to put in that 50% of the people pick you and 50% of the people don't. But if you're brand new and you really don't have a lot of value prop, give yourself a factor of safety saying that, you know what, 1 in every 4 pick me. And then over time, you can roll that forward. And then the next one is what percentage of clients that actually go through that appointment, they show up, then they pick you, you get into contract with, and ultimately close their deal. As you know, it's difficult sometimes out there with buyers, and some don't get financed. Home inspections don't work out. Sometimes you take listings, they're not willing to go to the right price to sell. There's a percentage of homes that we always get into contract with that just fall apart. And you want to make sure that's the case. So again, I like to use 25% unsuccessful as a rate. And what you do with all of this, again, within my tracker, it's here to tell us that I'm going to do a little more work based on all of these like factors of safety to ensure that when I set myself up in my daily and weekly goals, I'm doing enough outreach so that all of these fall-offs don't hurt me later and I underwork to create my income. The other thing I want you to think about is this: how many days a week are you going to commit to outbound prospecting, to having those leading indicator conversations? Number of new real estate conversations is your driver. But how many days a week are you going to do that? I suggest 5 if you're a full-time agent. Don't say 7, because you need to give yourself some time off where you can react to the business or do business development, but not always on the prospecting hamster wheel. All right. So at the end of the day, guys, there's a lot of math built into this spreadsheet, but this This analysis is what I want you to think about when you're coming up with things. What it's going to drive down to is a couple things. How many appointments per week do you need to have? And how many new conversations do you have to have per day based on how many you told me that you'd be working? And what are those numbers? And that's the true business plan. So if you can look at this, guys, all of the math that I can't go into this session is telling me 2 real estate conversations per day, 5 days a week. I told you that I put again 4 weeks off earlier. The numbers are already calculated in the background. And I do need to be creating 1.5 new appointments per week. Now that's a completely different business plan than trying to say, well, how am I going to make 150K? 150K can be overwhelming, especially when you're a new agent and you don't know really what it's like to make 150K. Well, if we scroll down, you could say it's 13 homes a year, but even that's incredibly overwhelming. But what if we break it down into daily conversation numbers and weekly appointment goals? I believe no matter where you are listening to this, if you can come up with your daily conversation goal and your weekly appointment goal, you can build a business plan around this. Much easier than how to come up with something that's high in the sky, pie in the sky around a income goal or a home sold goal. My hope is you work through this. And if you have any questions around this, please reach out. If you're looking for access to trackers and things like this, again, please message me because these are built into some of my resources that I do sell to realtors, incredibly affordable real estate stuff through my reeducation.school brand. Just let me know and I can help you out get through this if this seems like something of massive value for you. Thanks again for listening. Check you next time.